Welcome to Making Pondo and Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where we pick out 2 movies each week and talk about them in detail. Making Pondo is a podcast where we talk to people we've made films with and we discuss all their experiences on set. Today on Making Pondo, we talk with Jessica Stone, our associate producer on The Love Song of William H. Shaw.
And we're back.
Back once again. So
Yes, sir. So, Marty, who do we have with us this week?
Well, as we mentioned, we finally, at long last, have Jessica Biscuit Stone with us today.
Woo-hoo!
Hello.
Whoa!
Thanks for showing up for us, Jessica. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Super excited to have you on. So normally we start off, Marty, we start off with a basic question of, how did you meet Pondo? How did you get involved with us? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, it was at TusCon, and it was the weekend of your premiere of Revenge of Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I didn't know anything about it at the time, but our beloved Geoff Notkin, I guess he really fancied the costume that I was wearing at TusCon, and so
It was a good one.
Yeah, he cornered me 3 different times over the weekend and gave me a business card and said, "You got to come see the premiere, Revenge of Zoe premiere." And so I did. I was there actually to meet one of my favorite authors from like a long time, from back in my college days, a guy named Joe R. Lansdale. And,
Oh yeah.
So you guys took backseat to that. I actually missed the first premiere because I was busy, at Joe's panel. But I made it to the Sunday premiere, or second premiere, I guess.
Not offended by that at all. Not offended by that at all.
It was an incredible weekend overall, and it was capped off by seeing the premiere, loving the film, and really also being amazed by how friendly you guys were afterwards, during the signing and everything. And, you invited me to the after party dinner. So yeah, it was just like, I kind of felt like I found some of my own people, and it was really just an instant click, I think, with everybody. So yeah, that was my first experience meeting all of you guys.
Geoff does seem to have a nose for like-minded people and talented people. He just seems to know so many talented people, and it's I'm glad that I'm glad he spotted you and picked you out, because you did so much later. It wasn't even funny for us. And
well, Geoff is a great patron of creative people too. He's really good at putting like minds together. So
yeah, I agree.
Then the next thing you know, you're associate producing and acting in the next movie. How did that suddenly happen?
Well, that's actually another Geoff story. Well, it was a Geoff and Cliff story because
oh, that's right.
You guys were in Las Vegas for one of the showings of Revenge of Zoe at one of the...
Yeah, it was a Silver State Film Festival. Yep.
Right. And so apparently you had some time to kill, and you were shopping at some old thrift stores and stuff. And
yeah, it was like just all the old cast-offs from all the old casinos, plus just random stuff. So like they had an entire back room full of costumes that had been, on the floor of the Sands or the Mirage or whatever.
Right. And Geoff told me that he came across this costume that was on a dummy, but it was kind of hanging off, slanted and not quite put on right. But there was something about it that just really caught his eye, and he just kept going back to it. And he apparently you were kind of getting impatient with him, and said, it's not like you don't know somebody who can, probably wear that costume and knows how to do costume stuff to fix it up.
And could fix it up. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. And he's, his version of the story was that yeah that but I still was staring at it and then kind of not really making my mind up, and then you came back and said, look, if you if if Jessica likes this costume and it fits her and and she's interested, I'll put her in the movie if you buy this costume. So and that was what pushed him into buying it. And then it was funny because he sent me some excited text messages with pictures and everything from that weekend, but for some reason our phones have never connected well. Like, he'll send me pictures and I'll never get them. I'll
Weird.
send him messages with pictures and he won't get them. He's on a Mac or an iPhone and I'm on a Android. I don't know why, but so it was like a week or two later that I finally got in touch with him, and he was like, oh my gosh, I was so frantic. It's like, why didn't you respond? It's like, I never received them. So he sent me the pictures, and I was so excited, over the moon. So then I remember going over and kind of trying on the costume just to see if it would work, and we were just excited about it. It was perfect. It was just this awesome kind of well, we've been calling it the Roman witch,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's it was very not a typical, like, I would never imagine something like this being a showgirl costume.
No, yeah, it was like a, I don't know, it was like a weird mix of Roman and Greek or something.
Yeah,
It was
very Greek.
fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah, and but it definitely was a showgirl costume because it had the Velcro, like, you know, easy off
the rip away.
setting, throwaway, yeah, and um, and it was an interesting experience just trying to figure out where all the parts went because it came in like I think four different parts. It had the headpiece and draperies, and then the arm pieces, and then the main, and the skirt or whatever. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and I was thrilled to death with the idea of being in the movie. And I thought it was just going to be a, like, flyby, like I'm in a scene passing by. But no, Cliff, you gave me speaking parts.
Yeah,
Of course.
we turned you into like one of the weirdos that he encounters at the con, which I thought was, I mean, we got this great costume. You look fantastic in it. I think what sold it for me was that staff you made with the glowing
Mm.
ball. I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
that's got to be, you're really an excellent craftsman when it comes to that type of stuff. Like, you really are good at that. And so I was just like, let's put it, like, I don't want to waste this. Some quality stuff. Let's put it in the film as much, as long as possible. So that's why you got lines, and that's why we put you on film.
And that was the first time I've ever acted.
Oh,
Oh,
And
you
really?
did great.
well, I thought, like, I couldn't. It was only a few lines, and I was terrible at remembering my lines and getting them in order. It took us 2 hours to film that bit.
Yeah, yeah. I remember we had to make you. Remember we had to make you run behind the camera and then
Yes.
stand, because we were doing the thing where we're tracking Billy sideways. He's his side, his profile, and then boom, he runs into you again. And
Yeah.
in the outtakes you can hear your costume jingling as you
Jingling.
run, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it was covered in beads. So, of
Yes,
course, it was like trying to tiptoe quickly and get over there quickly enough to be in the right position.
it was fantastic.
But it was so much fun, though. I mean, it was really fun watching you guys film that weekend because I had never really seen an on action kind of, film set before. And then to actually participate was just a blast. It was super super fun. Yeah.
Well, you were well. I mean, you were big. I mean, Love Song was. I mean, you need to pat yourself on the back. You have a lot to do with the fact that we pulled that movie off the way we did.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So much set
I
decoration, too.
Well, the two locations alone.
Yeah.
yeah,
Jesus.
I fell in love with the idea of the film, and especially being part of it. I was invested at that point. Like I got to be in it. Now I'm like, well, I loved working with you guys, and I remember I think I said to both of you and to Geoff and whoever, if there's anything that I can possibly do to help out, let me know. And so you put me to work, and you know, It was we had to find some sets. We needed the two houses
Hmm.
for
They had
because we
they had to
had
be dressed. Yep.
right. We had to set up the houses, and it turned out we used the house that I was living in at the time, and my best friend who lived across the street, her house, and
Yay!
and that was perfect because it was easy to just walk across the street between the
God,
scenes, and
I
Yeah,
remember
that
running
was
back and
perfect.
forth with cameras and lights and just, okay, we're over here now.
yeah, and it was really fun setting up both houses and moving all the parts around and getting like we needed the bedroom in my house and the living room in my house, and I think part of the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
we used the living room, the kitchen. I mean, you guys took
Bathroom.
hours just setting up. Yeah, we shot the bathroom. You guys took hours setting up the purple bedroom, which was
The bedroom.
fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
my bedroom looked fantastic. I didn't change much after that. It was what we did on that one wall with the hanging and everything, that pretty much stayed as it was.
Wow.
Perfect.
And then I also remember when my living room, the first night that the guys got the lighting all set up, and I was like, I want this light forever. It was like it made my living room look so warm and inviting and cozy, and I was just like, my house has never looked like this at any time.
That's
But
fantastic.
yeah, and then we used the back porch and front porch
That's right. Yes.
of
Front porch
Marnie's place,
Mm-hmm.
or pottery wheel.
and the pottery wheel, and my
Mhm.
that was the other thing. Like you had the prop list,
Yeah.
and it
Oh,
was just
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
that I remember telling Marty. He was like, where are we gonna get a pottery wheel? I'm like, I don't know. And then here you come with like, I know somebody's got a pottery wheel. And I was like, see, there you go.
yep. And we had the pottery wheel, and oh, I also remember when we were when you guys were scouting the sets, and Marty came over and he saw Marnie's place, and what was the poster that she had
Oh,
on
that's
the
right.
wall?
The poster was for Kidco.
Hmm.
And Kidco was the first film set that I was ever on when I was like 8 years old. I was an extra for 2 days because they shot that here in town in Tucson back when there was a lot of things going on, old Tucson stuff. Obviously not a Western, but it's so weird to walk into that house and see that poster and be like, did you hang that because you knew I was coming in here just to screw with me? And she's like, no, it's my
Yeah.
favorite movie. And it's like, I guess we're in the right place.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Here we
And
are.
I've never even heard of the film,
Yeah,
but
nobody has.
it was just there were lots of little synchronicities like that, or little
Hmm.
things that throughout the filming that just seemed to go really well, or
Hmm.
really I guess everything was is it jived or jibed together?
Jibed. I think
Yeah.
jibed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Anyway, it all fit together. It all
Well,
it
worked.
did.
Like it's almost
It
like
did.
the universe was pushing us together to make this film.
hmm
Yep. And we snuck you into the film several times. I mean, we snuck you in as Space Frenzy. We
Yeah.
snuck you in as the Roman Witch, and I mean, geez, yeah. You dressed the comic book store. Good
Oh,
Lord, you were busy.
she's also an extra throughout Tuscan in a
That's
different
right.
costume. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, because we had to fill in the room for one of the scenes. We needed a bunch
Hmm.
of spectators, and
Oh, and you're in
so
another scene too, but as yourself. So
oh
you're
really?
in the movie like 5 times. I think you're in it more
That's
than anybody else.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that because I knew I was, the extra for the crowd, and I had a fan in front of my face, and I was wearing a costume for that. And
Hmm.
then I was in the Space Frenzy costume was in the bookstore
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
comic shop,
Yep.
and I had a mask so that you couldn't, and a wig and everything, so nobody would know that it was me again.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's really funny.
And you were the lint roller operator. That's the one that
Oh
most
Yes.
people
yes,
get
Oh,
sneak
that's
past.
right. Yeah, at the
Yeah.
very end, as yourself, you're just there.
yeah,
You're just there, lint
Hmm.
rolling Billy. That's so good.
yeah. That was that was fun. Yeah.
So you're not in that house anymore?
No, no.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the the owner was very was old, and she passed away, and her kids had to sell all of the properties,
Ah.
you know, as stipulated in the will. So I actually had an unexpected move this past February, March,
Wow.
and had to very quickly find a
Yuck.
place. Yeah, it wasn't fun, but
Hmm.
it happens. I do miss that house. I miss there was an owl in this. You remember the big eucalyptus tree in the backyard that just towered
Hmm.
over? There were two hawks and an owl that lived in that tree, and I've seen the hawks hunting around in the neighborhood, and the owl would talk to me at night, or he probably wasn't talking to me, but I took it. I answered
Hmm.
back.
Yeah, I mentioned that because that's another in the long line of places that we have shot at that is no longer the location anymore. It's like either the business is gone or people don't live in the house. It seems to happen. I mean, every time. There's only a couple places from our old movies that are still the same business or person's house. I mean, of course, time moves on and this happens,
Right.
but it's like there goes another one. At least we don't have to do reshoots because we're not getting back in there.
Yeah, Charlie
Yeah.
changed his business
Yeah, I just drove
once or
past there.
twice.
Nothing in the
Wow.
old Charlie's place. The people that took over, it's just empty building. Yeah, crazy.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have those two locations right across the street from each other, and we're running back and forth with cameras, getting this shot here. I mean, it couldn't have been
It was
better
so great.
located.
Yeah. Picking broken pottery out of your front yard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh
Yes.
can we break the stuff in your driveway? We promise we'll pick it up.
Yeah. I found bits of that
Of
for
course you did.
months,
Yes.
because
There's
tiny little bits.
there
But
was no way we were going to get it all, but we tried. Thinking on that Vegas, that trip, that was thinking back on that. I sort of goaded Geoff into buying that costume because I kept going, just buy it, just buy it. We'll figure out a use for it. It's a great costume. It looks great. Just buy it. And then that's my last one was, we'll put Jessica in it. She'll look great in it. And he was like, that's what we'll do. And he bought the dang thing. It was hilarious.
yeah, and I actually ended up having to do quite a bit of work to that costume to get it. I don't know how old it was. We were really trying to place the date of it, but there were certain materials that were used that made me think it was maybe not seven. It was probably closer to the like maybe the late 80s, or not
I
sometime in the
think I want to say the
90s.
guy said the store said it was 80s, like late
Yeah.
80s. But
That would fit, but I had to re-glue the beads.
geez.
There was a bead trim that was around everything, and I had to re-glue a lot of that. And I also shored up some of the Velcro and bits to so that everything stayed on.
Stayed where it was.
Yeah, but it was actually in surprisingly good condition
It was a great
overall.
looking costume. I mean, like I said, with that staff, it was just a great looking costume. It's yeah, really good.
Yeah, and that staff was a lot of fun to make too. I really kind of I was inspired by the costume to do the staff, and I wanted to make something that didn't look like it. She wasn't a wizard or anything like that, and I
Right.
didn't want to do a typical crone staff or anything. But um,
It looked
going on that,
like a witch's staff from a video game or something.
well,
You
it
know.
was going more from the theme of, okay, people say, I think you called it the Roman witch, and I was like, it does look kind of Greco-Roman, the
Hmm.
costumes. So I'm gonna make something that kind of is reminiscent of that. But I didn't make it.
Hmm.
I didn't want an eagle on a staff. But I kind of looked at some of the styles of that, and I created something out of foam, and then I added the LEDs inside the base of that foam, and then I put it was
So smart.
it was one of those Christmas balls that
Hmm.
from the crafting store, and I spray painted inside with and glittered it inside, so it was all shimmery. And
It's
um,
so cool.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It
It's
looked
so
like
cool.
faux bronze is what I made it look like.
Hmm. But glowing with like a green
Yeah,
glow. It's so cool.
yeah.
Um, so what was your experience like with us, like as being on camera? How did I normally ask actors about like what kind of direction they like from feedback they like from directors. So, but I know you just kind of worked with us on film. So, what was that like? Did we give you good feedback? Did you feel like you knew where you were going, or were you just flying blind?
No, you guys did an excellent job of coaching me, and making sure you told me which way to look and how to interact with the camera, being in your face and not looking at the camera,
Right.
and you were extremely patient with me when I was flubbing my lines over and over again, trying to remember the right order to say things the right way. And I also want to say that you were also very open to my feedback of what my lines consisted of, because there were a couple of tweaks that I thought would sound a little bit so
More
my
natural
take
coming from
well,
you.
more natural for the character as well, because
Hmm.
my take was that this was a gaming geek girl who is into live action role play, and was trying to invite Billy into her group because
Hmm.
he looked like he'd be a good candidate for her gaming group. And so that was that was what I that's how I approached the character. And so yeah, I was really appreciative of just everything, all the way everybody kind of coached me and guided me, and Cliff, especially you, you know letting me know how to change something, and your instructions were always very clear. So I
Hmm.
never
Oh, that's good.
really I never felt like I didn't really know what you were referring to. you know
That's good. And, like I've said I think in other podcasts, it's being on the other side of the lens, you never can tell, right? Like, oh, I got it. I like what I got, but do they feel like they also got it, right?
yeah
Like,
I
do they feel like
also
they nailed it?
Yeah, I also even like on when it was really when everybody was under a lot of stress, like the night that we did the shoot behind the liquor store.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That was a really long night, and it was cold, and everybody was tired, and it was getting towards the end of the shoot, the time allotted for us.
Hmm.
So it's like 2 weeks straight of just lots of late nights and working hard, and I just remember um, I could see how tired and exasperated you were. Like, I remember the helicopter going by like
Oh,
Oh yeah.
repeatedly, and
yes.
circling the police helicopter, circling, looking for you know
Yes. So somebody was running from the cops like 2 blocks from our
Hmm.
shoot.
right. And so the police helicopter just goes and goes and goes, and but even then you handled it, and
We don't have any
I-
other choice. We're not
yeah,
we're not leaving we're not leaving without the shoot, without the
Hmm.
footage. So
right,
The funny
right.
thing is we then have to wait for it to be silent so we can get the take. So later we can add artificial background sounds. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. It's crazy.
that's hilarious.
Uh,
uh,
Oh, I also remember a comment that Marty, you said this was at the when we were at the other doing the very final shoot at the new comic shop,
mhm.
John's comic shop. And you made a comment about, oh, you're not wearing those noisy boots. Because I was in a fad of where I have these cowboy boots that are like my favorite boots.
Clunk,
They're
clunk, clunk.
So
and
you
but
chose to
and
clap
I
with.
would tiptoe. I was trying so hard to tiptoe, but apparently you cannot tiptoe in cowboy boots.
No, no. Yeah, those things echo. That's hilarious.
and a good part of the filming in that first section of that 2 weeks that we did most of the filming of the film. um, I was wearing those boots, and I was doing what do you call it, the clapper,
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. Hmm.
Slate.
the
Slate.
slate, yes. And so of course you say, you do the clack and then tiptoe out of the scene.
I always love putting people on the slate who haven't done anything before, because they're always, because you tell them, and it's pretty straightforward once you do it a few times, right? Like, oh, okay, I pointed at this camera, clap. I say the thing, I pointed at the other camera, I do it, and then I get out of here. But the first couple times that you do it, it's always fun to watch them because they're timid and they're looking at you like, did I do that right? You're like, yeah, now get out of the way. Come on, move.
Yeah,
The love
that was a
song
lot
of
of fun
Billy
though.
Shaw.
What?
The
Yeah.
the love song of William H. Shaw, scene 75, take one, action. Click. Well, you wouldn't say action. You click, and then you'd hear. But not always. Just if we had like a hardwood floor or something. It was
Yeah.
kind of funny.
And if
That's
there was
great.
any sand on the floor at all, or on the gravel concrete, it would grind by because I was tiptoeing, but even
Well, and that room was just that was a live room that like everything bounced in that room too. Like the
Hmm.
echo was just out of control. So I'm sure that was part of it.
mm,
So you said that you kind of came up with a backstory for your witch character, and that's kind of like a natural actor thing to do.
Hmm.
So out of all the different things to do on a film set, acting or set decoration or location scouting, just to mention a few of the things that you did, I'm like jotting down notes like, oh, costume designer. We had to put her in the credits for that too. What what would you most be interested in doing on further film projects? What was the occupation that caught your interest the most?
all of it.
All of it.
Yeah, I love. So I have ADD, and I like lots of variety and lots of different things, lots of different problems to solve, puzzles.
Lots of those
Hmm.
on a film set.
And so yeah, there was a. It just felt like I felt useful. I felt like I was able to help, even if it was to go get somebody a bottle of water, or just to stand by on set and see if anybody needed anything, to be able to do that, as well as to be able to set the scene, or if you needed somebody to run the slate, or you know yeah,
Yeah, you
all of
you
it.
you fit on the set like it was like uh, I mean, first time a producer and you're set design, you're set dressing with Geoff, you're part of the art department, you've helped with locations, and then when you're on set, you're out of the way, you're doing exactly what you're where you need to be, you're out of the way, you're easily reachable, and you're working. It was perfect. I mean, it's like she's been here the entire time. Where were you the last 10 years? By the way, come on,
Well,
we
I
needed
would
you
have.
on other films.
Well, I'm happy to participate in anything you guys do in the future.
Oh,
So
we've got some stuff coming up.
excellent, excellent. Because I really, and I don't know if I would want to be on just anybody's film crew,
Hmm.
but because I know you guys have said that there was some special magic that seems to happen on your crews that are not necessarily typical.
It
Jeff particularly has said that before.
we've been told by people that work with us that our sets aren't, I don't want to say they're not spectacular. They're just not normal. Like there's not a lot of the normal stuff that goes on sets. There's not a lot of infighting. There's not if once a shoot, you're going to see me and Marty blow up at each other. That's the big fireworks, probably some sort of argument. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty mellow. We have actors show up that aren't slated for the day just to kind of watch what we're doing. That's I've been told that's not normal. So yeah, I like to create a team and a family, and I feel like because everybody's wearing so many hats and we're all pushing towards the same goal, it tends to make a bond.
Yeah, I would say so. And I remember before I was even part of the crew, um, there was a few months after I had met you guys. There was, I think it was at Tucson Comic Con, and I ran into Marty and Jeff
Hmm.
and
It was Bradford and Christina. Is that right?
yeah, Brad. I don't remember if I don't
Because I know we
remember
were doing a panel.
Christina,
I
but
think.
I do remember
Yeah.
Nate was there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and there were a few people that maybe popped in and left, and you were doing the panel, and
That's right.
I went for the panel, but I remember there was this afterwards, when it was time to just wander around and explore Comic Con. You paused for a photo opportunity
Hmm.
with the cast, and Marty said to me, "Get over here. You're part of the group now. You're part of our family." And I just felt like because I was just going to be out of the way again. And that pretty much, I think that pretty much sealed it for me. And so it was very exciting to later be have the opportunity to be able to participate in the film and just be able to do all the things that I got to do.
Well, like I mean, Marty and I have said this over and over again, and we'll continue to say it. You and Geoff brought so much to the picture because we're so busy and we don't have I can't sew. B, there's no way if you put me in a room to say dress this artistically so it looks good, I'm gonna be like I can light it, but it takes somebody with a mind to do that type of stuff. And I feel like you and Geoff really added a lot, you know.
Oh, I remember one of those first mornings where I think we were having a read through at Charlie's store,
Yeah.
and then we all
Yeah.
went and had Mexican food afterwards. And
Yeah.
I just remember ideas starting to click, and it was like, okay, this is going to be a good group of
This is yep.
5 or 6 of us here.
Yeah.
Just pleasant memory.
One of the things that was a fun day. Eric was there too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eric joined us for food. One of the things that I think also that I noticed is being able to find things, find resources, find props, find bits. And like I don't know where Geoff found it, but remember when we were doing the promo video
Oh,
for the
that's right.
shoot, and
Mm-hmm.
he found I think it was a buffalo hide for to go because we were doing we were doing some kind of a set where we had a throne
Yes.
and we needed to make it look like it was a wild kind of what would you call it, Viking, not Viking, but it's kind of a warrior scene.
Yeah.
And we took my living room chair and I put some faux fur on the living room chair, draped it a certain way, and then added a foam skull in one place, and just we set it all up, and but I am a crafter, so I had a foam skull.
Of course, of course you did. That's, I mean, and honestly, I remember meeting you and saying, "Wow, your costume looks great." This is at Tuscon. The first, remember we're all sitting around the table on the second level. I think this was after we all just met, and we're talking about your costume, and you're telling me how well, I made this, and I put it together, and I made this thing, and I crafted this thing, and I'm like, yep, we'll need that, you know, like somebody who can do the type of that let's bring that person into the mix and have Geoff, and Geoff's got great art sense too, so it was a perfect marriage for the art department. It worked great.
Well, I didn't realize I was being interviewed at that time for for future potential work.
I'm bad about that. If I see somebody who's talented about that, my first thought is, I wonder how we can use them in the movie. I wonder how we can. It's the curse of like an indie filmmaker. You're always thinking, look, I can do this for the cheap.
The most challenging thing for me, and the thing that I've realized this is just not for me, is the Indiegogo campaign. Geoff and I were working on getting the campaign, trying to set something up, and I have a background in graphic design, but I don't have a marketing, background, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know really how to make something that would draw people to see something. I mean, it's easy to look at stuff and say, well, I like how this looks and seems very inviting to me, but when it came down to trying to do it, it was actually the hardest thing. And I finally told Geoff, I don't think I can help you because this is just beyond my skill set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Give me something physical to manipulate and I'll craft the heck out of it. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, marketing is honestly tough. I think it's probably one of the toughest ends of the business in general. It's hard to market yourself. It's hard to create marketing materials. That's a really special skill set, and I really really admire people who can do it because I struggle with it.
Yeah, it definitely takes a special mindset, and I definitely did not have that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't blame you.
We did finally launch that, and it was, fairly successful. We
brought in some money
off of it. So,
well, it was such a bad time.
yeah.
I mean, it was in the middle of the pandemic, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we filmed at the beginning of the pandemic, so
I
like
know.
I remember we actually shut down a few days early because we
Yeah.
had people who had to fly to their homes. We had actors that lived elsewhere and had to get home before they shut
Well,
the airports down.
and there were actors that were just like, this is we've gone to the limit of what I'm willing to do here.
Right.
Like I'm not this is the limit of where I'm willing to put myself health wise and risk wise, and we've
Yeah.
got to respect that.
Yeah, exactly. And we did the masks and the clean, the hand sanitizer and everything. But yeah, it was such a. Actually, I will say that I'm so glad that we did what we did
Mm-hmm.
right before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
because that was without that highlight of those 2 weeks filming, that would have been the beginning of a really
Dark time.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was the thing that I could look back and say, well, at least I had this experience before going into complete isolation and going into the lockdown and the fear of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm going to
um
pause for 2 seconds here because I want to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah,
Don't
that
worry
was a,
about this. I can cut all this out. You're back. You good?
yeah, that was a weird hiccup. It just.
Yeah. Yeah. It just dumped you, but you're back. Okay.
All right.
All right. So sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jessica. I just want to make sure we were.
oh, he's
Well,
gone
there he
again.
goes again. All right. Well, maybe he'll need to turn his video off too then.
Oh,
Huh.
Okay.
I guess maybe you turn off your
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. Weird.
Okay. Yeah, that is very weird. All right. Well, let's just let's give it 20 or 30 seconds to make sure we're okay, and then we'll jump back in. Good conversation so far, Jessica. Thank you. You're bringing back a lot of great memories.
yeah. Actually, just I guess you guys are sparking a lot of those memories, because stuff that I haven't necessarily. I
It
didn't.
happens,
I was
right?
trying to think about what I was going to talk about a little bit, and I was like, I don't know.
It's fantastic.
It was good that we went through with shooting in early March because, like you were saying, it helped me get through the lockdown time period too. At least I had, some
Yeah.
footage to edit. Remember that, oh, yes, we have something to focus on through this.
Yeah, and well, for me, of course, I just went back to working, and luckily, my company, I was lucky enough to be able to continue to work, and being in QC for software, it was easy for us to create a remote environment for people to, we already had something in place, but we made it more robust. So I
Right.
was able to work from home, and which I still work from home 2 to 3
Same.
days a week. So I go into the office 2 to 3 days, and then the other. So it's nice to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
being able to, because sometimes I work late and I don't like to leave, drive at night or things like that. So it's easier to work longer hours at home. Um, but I also like having the interactions with people at work. So
Yeah. It's a bit of a trade off.
yeah. But it's funny. Remember during the pandemic how I was really happy to be a kind of um, an introvert, because I was not really phased by being alone in my house. But did I did find that when I would go into the office, when things started to loosen up again, I was so excited to see people. It gave me a new appreciation for actually being around folks. But um,
Hey, it's that guy I didn't like, but I can stand now because it's good to see him.
because it's a human being
It's a human being.
in person.
And then 10 minutes pass, and you're like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
can I
yeah,
go back?
I'm ready to go back home. This is good. Yeah, this is good. I'll go back home.
So obviously you're a very creative person, and I know film is kind of a relatively new thing. But what's your main creative outlet? Is it a lot of the things that you brought to the film? I'm guessing.
No, actually, it's
Oh.
completely different. Because of the pandemic, I haven't had any reason to do anything with costumes. In fact, I've
Mhm.
packed up my costumes when I moved, and I'm considering selling some stuff because I haven't sewn and I haven't really felt
Oh
like,
no.
I mean, I'll still do special things from time to time, but it doesn't. it's not the passion that I had at the time. And of course that will change. Like if I find something that inspires me, I'm going to go after it. So, if that comes up, I'll make something costume wise again. But I've been doing a lot of small crafts. I've been doing a lot of miniature things, which I used to do little things. I've done some Matchbox dioramas that are just tiny little shadow boxes. I did those a few years ago, and
Interesting.
just with found things. And then I guess part of the isolation was me watching a lot more YouTube, and I started finding all of these amazing crafters online that were making dioramas and demonstrating how to do things. And so I have basically kind of gone through a crash course of how to do miniature crafting things, from everything from like scale model railroad stuff to dioramas and things
Wow.
for role playing games. I'm just starting to learn how to build and make tiny things, and it's so fun. It's addicting. It's relaxing. It's been very therapeutic, especially during the move, because that was so stressful. And once I literally I moved into the new place. I unpacked my bedroom. I unpacked my crafting bench and all of my stuff, and the kitchen. And that was pretty much it for a few months. I didn't unpack a lot of other things. They just were in boxes, and I just spent all my time crafting, um, as therapy, and just a lot of fun. Super
Yeah,
fun.
you're an
So,
artist. That's what that is. That's called doing art.
well, it is,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
it
it
is.
is. It's finding some new creative outlet, and but it's just so fascinating to make miniature versions of things that are around you in real life, like little buildings, or how do I make doors? How do I make these little windows? Or and there's so many neat tricks, and I've gotten better tools. I've learned how to do things that I won't go into here because your eyes would cross. It's just so a little too many details, but so much fun for me. Definitely, um, I definitely nerd out.
That's fantastic. Do you have this is my question I ask everybody because I'm I'm writing a screenplay based on a band, right? So I've become fascinated with not necessarily musicals; those are I like those, but movies that are heavily based in music or about music. Do you have like a particular film like that you like?
Well, yes, actually, so one of my most favorite films of music, like live band playing music, is Talking Heads Stop Making Sense.
Oh, that's a good one.
That film, I saw that film in the theater when I was a child, because my
Wow.
mom went to a rated R movie, and the only G-rated movie was that. And there was a claymation guy on the or something. I think the poster had some, it just looked like it was something that a kid would watch. And so I remember, of course, it was lost on me because I was probably like 8 years old. And I remember sitting in the theater the whole time going, when are the cartoons going to start?
Hmm.
you know, but I have a feeling that somehow that film and the music probably directed my taste in music without me even realizing it. And I was lucky enough a couple of years ago, well, before the pandemic, the Loft did a showing of Stop Making Sense, and I got to go and see it, and I was practically in tears. I was so enchanted by it again.
Fantastic.
It's just phenomenally done, and I've watched it a couple of times since then because it's masterful the way that they did it.
Yeah, that's the one where he's doing the arm waving, right? At one point.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
suit, the suit
Yeah.
gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it's
It keeps
fantastic.
coming out, and it's a bigger suit, with massive shoulders, and the sleeves hang down, and that yeah. Another musical film that is kind of an indie film, that I really really loved was The History of Future Folk.
Oh, I haven't heard
And
of this one. Okay.
that film, it's a trip, it's a riot. It's about aliens who come to Earth to destroy the planet, and they encounter music, which their alien culture doesn't have, and particularly they encounter bluegrass music, and they start playing blue. They form a bluegrass band,
Oh my goodness. Okay.
and it is the songs are great. They're hilarious. They're fun, and it's a real band that decided to make a film, and that's what they did. So
Interesting.
it's I definitely recommend watching it. It's a great movie.
Something that you mentioned, you said your parents were in an R-rated movie, and so you went to the only G-rated movie. So do you come from the time where your parents were like, "You're going to this movie, we're going to this movie, and we'll meet you when it's over"?
Well, I think
Because
to some
I did.
yeah, to some extent. I mean, so it was just my mom. I mean, she was,
Hmm.
my parents divorced when I was very young. So, but she was, I guess she was dating. I didn't realize that she was dating because she never really, made that
Hmm.
explicit to me. But she was out with a friend that I had, I just thought he was one of our friends. And but yeah, they went to see, I don't know what they went to see, but
Hmm.
I was too young for it, so
Yeah,
um,
I think that's a common thing for. I don't hear it as much from people nowadays, but like when we
it
were
was the
growing,
80s. It was the early
yeah, it's
80s,
the early
late
'80s, and
70s.
yeah, like I remember they wouldn't let me go see Orca or some movie. I can't remember. It's like some one of them, and they put me in Greece, I think. Or something. I may have those years. I'm sure completely wrong, but
That's about right.
yeah. I mean, as far as the movies coming out at the same time, but there,
Yeah,
I can
that's
clearly
about
remember not getting to go to certain movies and being pushed into others while they went to see things that I actually really wanted to see,
Yeah. there
or
w-
at
there
least I
was
thought I
one
did.
there was one time that my mom actually couldn't find a babysitter and went on another date, and they just had nothing else, no other option, because they went to this old theater in my hometown that was basically just an old, um I guess, Broadway sort of play theater,
Mm,
and they had
hmm.
converted it into one big movie theater, and it had food, and it was a lot like the Loft, but with just only one screen.
Hmm.
And so I got to see Revenge of the Nerds before I was that way before I was old enough to to get what was going on there.
About here.
That's so funny. We just went to Mad Monster last year and met Lewis, the head, one of the head nerds, and Ogre, and
Hmm.
so we got to meet them. They were very very nice people. It was quite fun.
It's
Yeah.
funny because I can picture their faces still, just from that. I don't think I've seen that movie in 10 years or more. But
Filmed
Yeah,
in Tucson.
yeah. I like to
oh,
see
really?
like
Yeah,
oh,
filmed
there's
at the U
I
of A
10 in the
campus.
'80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember reading about that and thinking maybe I should watch that movie again, but I don't know that I actually did.
I, I don't know. So I think for some people it holds up, and for others they're like, ooh,
I'm
depends.
I'm always surprised at the movies that were filmed around here. And I started to kind of
A bunch of good ones.
explore films. There was one that was filmed years ago. It was an old black and white film. Oh gosh, no, I'm not going to remember the name of it. But it was such a great film. Uh, you'll have to cut this piece out. I totally forgot the name of this film. But it was an
No sweat.
excellent, excellent film. Anyway,
Did we? Do you have any? Did we cover any audio questions, Marty? I think you may have
Well,
one or
let's
two.
see here. Do you have any favorite moment from the sets?
Oh, yeah.
oh, I all of them.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
It's really hard to pick because there were just so many great times. Like I
Hmm.
remember watching when we were filming some of the scenes, um, with Eric and, oh gosh, I forgot her name.
Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah. When there was one scene that was very poignant, and at the end, I mean, I was in tears a little bit just sitting there. What, it was so well done. Um, and there was a,
Was it? Was it the kids scene? Was it the? Was it the?
talking about, yeah,
Yeah,
baby
talk about the.
being,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
that one was just, it was very poignant, and
yeah.
it really tugged at me. And that's so there was a lot of great acting in,
Sarah nailed that. Sarah
on
really nailed
that. I just remember being kind of blown away at all of the different scenes that I was party to. That just the excellence of acting that kind of happened, the and also just the rapport, like you said, just being on set. I enjoyed just sitting there waiting sometimes. It was a
Well,
time
that's
to sit down and relax, and you're hanging out with your buddies and
Hmm.
having some snacks or whatever, and then you get
Yep.
up and go and rush around and do all the things
mm-hmm.
again. It was neat watching how films are put together. Like, I didn't realize until I watched you guys that you would film a certain scene from different angles over and over again. You try different things just to get something that would work, or just to get the right flow of the actors, their lines or whatever it might be. And so it was just really amazing to, I guess that's called B-roll. Is
Yeah,
that
I mean, yeah, we shot some B-roll. I think,
Coverage.
yeah, coverage is what we call it. There's
okay?
also there's also times where you get, because we don't always have access to our sets ahead of time. We plan out the shot, and then you get there and you go, oh, the geography of this room isn't really the same. The layout of this room isn't really what we were expecting, and so you have to kind of go into troubleshooting mode and figure out how you're going to shoot the scene. Like, okay, we'll do our master here, and then we'll do a close up, and then we'll do something here, and that type of thing.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed watching how you guys had a lot of extras. I mean, of course, there was the
It was a
Tuscon
big
event,
group, yeah.
which was a big group, but then there was also the the comic store, the first comic store, which
Mm-hmm.
was um, Isle of Games,
Yep, yep.
and and that was really fun. I got to have one of my best friends and coworker got to be one of the extras in the scene, in one of those scenes, and I just loved, like, he surprised me. I was like, wow, he did such a great job. He's really funny. I knew he would be, but he went above and beyond what I had seen, because we play a lot of, we're part of a gaming group, and we would play games, and and he would do a lot of characterizations and stuff in the games,
Mhm.
but he just took it even further. It was just awesome. So yeah, I just really, there's so many tiny moments, little bits and pieces that I can remember, and just that really, like, I'll treasure those memories. And
That's the stuff that I wish I had a better memory, right? So I could recall them all instantly. Because I agree with you. It's all good, right?
well, that's what happens when the movie comes out and it finally goes for sale, and I'm going to buy it, and then I can watch it and I'll be able to remember those memories,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll remember what was going on behind the scenes in these
Mhm.
scenes, and I cannot wait to see the film all put together. I'm so excited.
It's coming out. I think it's coming out pretty good, Marty. You'll have to
Mm-hmm.
rein me in here, but I think it's probably our
Yeah.
best film. I
Oh,
mean,
it definitely is. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, it's nothing, no disparaging of our previous, but you
mm-mm.
should get better with each, and I feel like we hit another level with this one.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
And if you're happy on set when you're just waiting to do stuff, then you belong on a film set, because most of it is waiting, and a lot of people can't handle that. But you're enjoying the waiting. See, you found your calling.
Well, you know what? Call me up. I'm here.
I love that. I love being in the middle of the work, and then just you kind of look up and you look around and everybody's doing something. Maybe somebody's chilling with a bottle of water. The audio engineers maybe taping somebody up with a mic, and then
Mm-hmm.
the actors are running lines over here, and you're in your thing, and you realize it's all going to coalesce in just a minute in front of a camera. It's really fantastic.
So I had one more question before we wrap up, and I think it's a good one.
Okay.
Where does the name Biscuit come from? You don't have to answer.
Yes, our audience
Uh,
needs to understand why they would call you Biscuit.
so it's a fun story. When it goes back to my early college days. Um, One of my best friends in college was, well, first of all, he was a master at naming things. He really had alliteration down.
A
Um,
master namer.
and for instance, he liked to play pool, and he had named his pool cue Toddler Turkey Neck. Don't know why. Don't know where that came from, but it just rolled off the tongue, and I still remember it to this day, and it's been more than 20 years. But one of the things that we would do is we would watch a lot of the late night wrestling shows. We watched WWE, but our preference was like Extreme Championship Wrestling, and where they had like the explosions happening outside of the thing, and
Yes.
they'd throw
Yeah, you like
thumbtacks out on the field or on the in the
TNT
ring.
Nitro and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it was beyond that. I mean, it was like it was the low, well, it was kind of low, it was low budget compared to the big network
Mhm.
programs, and it literally, you had to wait until like 3 a.m. to watch it because that's when it aired, because it was pretty violent, but it was hilarious. But anyway,
I'm not going to
we
ask what you guys were doing up at 3 a.m. I'm not going to
well,
ask. Just get
oh
into
no,
trouble.
no.
Get into some kind of crazy trouble,
Being
guaranteed.
college, being young college people,
Exactly.
not sleeping. But so anyway, his dream was to be a wrestler, and he decided that I was going to be his, bikini clad sign girl that would walk around. And so his wrestling name was going to be Horace P. Loveshaft, and I was going to be his sidekick Lucy Love Biscuit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's actually, oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah, Lucy Love Biscuit and I kept that name.
That's fantastic. I got you. So it's the weirdest thing when you introduce yourself and you're like, call me Biscuit. And I was like, okay. I mean, I
Well,
guess that's fine.
so the second part of that is that when I got married, my husband was from England, and he had to have everything shortened, nicknames and everything. And of course, in England, biscuit is the equivalent of a cookie. It's
Right.
not the kind of, and so he started calling me Biscuit. And that, so he
Uh,
was the one who actually gave me the biscuit, because he couldn't bother to say Lucy Love Biscuit, and that wasn't really a nickname. Lucy Love Biscuit was more of a, that's a persona name, a cosplay name maybe, but it's not
right.
a nickname. So Biscuit became my nickname, and yeah, so
That's
that's the
fantastic.
story.
I never knew until now, and I'm glad I do. That's a great story.
And now you know the rest.
And now you know the rest of the story. Jessica, thanks a million for showing up for this. We really appreciate it. I haven't seen you in so long, so it's
Yeah.
really good to get to see you again and talk to you. You look like you're doing great, and I'm hoping you're well and all that. And the film should be early next year. And as soon as we've got an option, as soon as we got a way for you to watch, I think Marty, we're talking about a watch party, maybe, right?
Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. People
That
can just
would
Hey,
be cool.
watch at
yeah,
their house.
just host it over Zoom or something, and have everybody just jump in, and we can watch it all together, and you know, throw things at the screen, Rocky Horror style, if we want to.
I would, I don't even know if Tuscon would be an option, but I sure would love to see it premiered at Tuscon, to kind of come full circle to um, how I met you guys and got started.
We're going to, I think we're going to do a sneak this year, and then next year we're going to show it because we just it's not going to be ready.
No, right,
It's
right.
it's
Yeah,
close, but just not 100%. And we're like, well, let's just do 100%. But we might prep like a clip or something to show, or something, some kind of presence
a
there.
trailer, a sneak, something like that. Yeah, we
Mhm.
want to give, we definitely want. I mean, we wanted we wanted to show there this year so badly. It's just it didn't happen. Post production just took longer than we expected.
Well, yeah, everything's taken a lot longer with the times being what they are,
Hmm.
but that's gonna make it even sweeter when it's finally
Mhm.
there and ready to see.
Yes,
So
yes.
Mhm. It's
All
coming out
right.
better too for it, I think.
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the extra time is really benefiting the film. Yeah, it's definitely it's helping it. So I mean, it just gives us more time to make sure it's tweaked to where we want it.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Well, Jessica, again, thanks so much. I think we're going to go ahead and end the podcast, right, Marty?
Yeah, I think so. You have
Yeah,
anything you want to plug, or
yeah.
well, we always ask our guests if they want to plug anything.
Uh, no,
A site for Lucy Love Biscuit? No.
no. I don't have anything like that. I'm not I'm like I said, I'm an introvert. I just kind of, I like to be, involved in stuff, but not,
Not the center of
necessarily.
attention.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm. Well,
I'm the
that's what
support staff.
you were perfect on the set for that. Then that was
Mhm.
exactly it. Well, okay. Well, Jessica, thanks again. We really
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Thank you. It was such a delight to be able to talk to both of you again and
Hmm.
just
Absolutely.
share all the memories and it's awesome.
Yeah, and we'll see. And again, we'll see each other. We'll see each other soon at some point.
Yeah.
And if we don't do it, we're not going to do it this year. But next year when we premiere it, I get the feeling I'll be out there. I'll get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. All right. See
Awesome.
you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.